We are live at Studio B. This is your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play. BYU basketball 6-0 and ranked in the top 20. Did you hear?
That's exciting.
Yeah. Alongside Jarom Jordan, I'm Spencer Linton. Let's bring in our fantastic college basketball stats guru, the man who we put a lot of trust in when it comes to determining like how good or bad a team actually is.
I look at his website.
Yes, every day. I look at it every day in college basketball season.
It's worth $20.
Ken Pomeroy joins us on BYU Sports Nation. Ken Pom, back on BYUSN. Welcome back to the show.
Kenneth?
Hey, great to be back, guys. The team must be doing good if I'm back on the show. So.
Yeah, we don't call you when they're 110. Exactly. When they're 10th, we're like, hey, let's chat. Which let's discuss. Obviously, sometimes I think people think your website is an opinion space. It is a metric space. Offensive efficiency minus defensive efficiency adjusted and everything. A lot of great numbers there. BYU is perhaps the surprise of the college basketball season so far. What has surprised you the most about BYU's play?
Well, I mean, I don't want to go too crazy here, but, certainly just the consistent dominance for the most part. I mean, in almost every game, it seems like they are jumping out to a lead and keeping it, maybe the NC State game, the lone exception there. But, that's ultimately what my ratings like is scoring margin adjusted for strength of schedule. And certainly BYU has generally, had really good scoring margins against pretty decent teams. And even, the San Diego State game, which was kind of a back and forth game, at the end, BYU was able to pull away and win that game pretty comfortably as well.
Ken, you started BYU higher in your metric than most of the other ratings. And a lot of BYU fans, coaches, players probably included, were like, wait, what is he seeing? What were you anticipating, and why was BYU higher in your metric compared to some of the other polls?
Yeah, truth be told, I was pretty surprised by that as well. When the rankings came out, I was like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? But, when he, did a deeper dive, I mean, they basically brought most everybody back that they can bring back. They didn't have a lot of roster turnover. So that certainly helped. The one thing, too, that was interesting, when you look back to last season, it was obviously a disappointing year. They were one of I think the highest rated team in my system that didn't get a postseason bid. And furthermore, they ended up with a losing conference record in WCC play, which was concerning. But when you look back at every team since, for the data I have, goes back to 1997, so 26-ish years, they had the best scoring margin for a team with a losing conference record. So, you look back at their games, like they were in those games with Gonzaga, they were in those games with St. Mary's. And when they had, when they beat, lesser teams in the league, the games weren't close. So, you don't want to paper over it too much. It was a disappointing year, but as disappointing years go, it was actually pretty decent and actually gave them kind of a foundation to, have a solid year this year, maybe a better chance of that than people would realize.
You have numbers that no one else has, which is fun. One of those is minutes continuity, BYU 18th in the country. We have given a lot of stock so far to, what BYU didn't have last year was roster continuity, but into this year, it's essentially the same team, and you added Trevin Nell, you've added Ali Khalifa. You don't have Dawson Baker quite yet, the UC Irvine transfer, but this team has gotten much better, and you don't automatically get better. This team has developed in a way that has been surprising, and this team's one of the best teams in the country. BYU always has this, hey, we're old thing, but literally the first and third oldest players in college basketball are Spencer Johnson and Trevin Nell. What value do you give to the continuity of the minutes there?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, that's part of what, certainly in the algorithm, what goes into the preseason rating is, hey, how good, what's the baseline for the program? What would we expect the program to do with kind of normal roster turnover? And then what kind of roster turnover do they have? If everybody's coming back or a lot of people are coming back, and then you throw in a couple of transfers, that's, going to be viewed favorably. And again, that's, it's 362 teams out there. So I wasn't necessarily hyper focused on BYU in the offseason, but when I started putting together my rankings and noticed they were high and did a little more investigation, it's like, oh yeah, wow, you haven't heard, much out of BYU in terms of guys leaving the program. And, that was a little bit surprising given the season. Again, it wasn't like, for some teams, you have a great season, they still lose one or two guys. And obviously BYU was a little disappointing. You wouldn't have been surprised if one or two guys left the program that would have made a difference. But but that didn't happen. And as you mentioned, like Trevin Nell, I think, that was kind of a sneaky, quote unquote roster addition. Obviously he was already on the roster, but, didn't play last year. And so, just the roster continuity plus kind of increased depth already within the program, really, really helped.
Our number one college basketball stats guru, Ken Pomeroy, is on BYU Sports Nation. We were talking about different specific numbers that you keep track of within just the glorious database that you have, which, again, is a lot of fun to explore. One of those is offensive rating. And when you look closely at BYU, the Cougars have 2 players in the top 20 in the country in individual offensive rating in Richie Saunders and Noah Waterman. It's kind of a tricky, complicated algorithm. So if you could put it in layman's terms, what is it and why are those guys, specifically Noah and Richie, in the top 20?
Right. It's I have a team level offensive rating, which is just the points a team scores per possession or per 100 possessions. And it's kind of the same concept on an individual level. It is more complicated because you have to assign kind of responsibility for a possession for each player. So sometimes that's easy. You make a shot, you get credit for that possession. But there's other times where it's more complicated on an assist or a turnover or a free throw or something like that. But, all in all, it's just, hey, when this guy's responsible for a possession, when he ends the possession, good or bad, how many points does he score? And, for guys like Noah Waterman and Richie Saunders, that number's been very high, almost, 1.5 points per possession.
Wow.
Yeah. And usually that's driven by role to some extent. Those guys do have smaller roles on the team and just excelling in that role. And then in the case of Noah Waterman, making 47% of his threes. I mean, that's going to drive a lot of that, making a lot of threes and not committing turnovers is helpful. For Richie Saunders, he's actually made a lot of twos, 74% of his twos. So that's kind of driving that for him. But both of those guys really excelling, in their roles and kind of complementing the guys who have taken a larger share of the offense, like, Spencer Johnson and Jackson Robinson.
BYU is 10th in your metric and in simple rating system. BYU is 3rd in the country. Which is basically the point differential and strength schedule and points above, below average, and so on and so forth. These are all great, and we're really enjoying it, Ken. How sustainable do you feel this is for BYU, given that they will play in the Big 12?
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's super sustainable. I'm not sure that's like the healthiest way to look at this, though. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't expect BYU to be finishing the season like getting a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. I'm still not quite brought in on that, but to be 10th in my system at this point in the season, strongly suggests that they're a tournament team and, possibly easily a tournament team. I mean, again, we'll have another 2 or 3 weeks of data here before we get into conference play. And I know BYU's schedule isn't super strong, but they will have to play that game at Utah, and to win that game will be pretty difficult, especially if they don't have Foose for that game. But even the fact that their schedule maybe isn't super strong the rest of the way, how they win those games will be interesting because, if they struggle with Fresno State or they struggle with a Wyoming, that might, put us back into a more realistic situation where it's like, hey, this team's good. They're not, they're a top half of the Big 12 team, but, the Big 12 is super tough. And if you have, 4 or 5 off nights in a row, you're going to feel some pain. So I think it's exciting times for BYU basketball, but there's, going to be some trying days ahead for sure, given how strong the conference is.
When you said the phrase top half of the Big 12 basketball team, I mean, if I could guarantee that today,
I'd take it right now.
I would do it right now.
I'd take 7th right now.
Absolutely. Okay, so of all of the surprising things that you have seen as it pertains to BYU, what is the one stat or metric that has shocked you the most about the Cougars?
Well, I mean, certainly the shooting has been really, really good. It's not just that they're making shots, like they're making 39% as a team, which isn't, when we talk about things that are sustainable, like that's actually sustainable. Like you can go a whole season making that percentage. But the fact that they're one of 7 teams right now that have taken over half of their shots from 3-point range. Like Mark Pope has given his team so much freedom, to take shots on the perimeter up to this point that, to me, that is surprising. Like Mark Pope teams traditionally shoot a fair amount of threes, and he clearly appreciates a 3-point shot and understands that, especially for a program like BYU, that's probably their path to having a really good offense. But just the degree to which they're taking threes, the volume to which they are taking those shots has been somewhat surprising. I think it makes sense for the team, but but it has been surprising that they've taken so many threes so far this year.
Okay, we're always looking at your numbers, but what's one of your favorite kind of off the radar numbers that you like to look at when you assess a team?
Yeah, my favorite number that doesn't get enough publicity, but I think is also easy to understand, is 2-point percentage. We talk a lot about 3-point percentage, you'll hear field goal percentage, but to me, especially early in the season, I love looking at 2-point percentage. It stabilizes really quick. It gives you, it's really a leading indicator for a lot of teams on how good their offense or defense is. For instance, right now, BYU opponents are making 22.5% of their threes, which, if we want to talk about things that aren't sustainable, guys, I just got to tell you, that is not sustainable. It's really hard to keep teams under 30% for, like an entire season. So that number will come up. Teams are going to start making threes against BYU. But the good news is, there's some teams that really luck into that, and the 2-point defense you can see is really bad. And it's like, hey, there's going to be a world of hurt coming. There's, going to be a reality check coming really quick. But BYU's 2-point defense so far is 76 in the country, 46%. So that bodes well. The defense might be playing a little bit over its head to this point because of that 3-point shooting. But I do think the defense will still be solid as we get into conference play and face those tougher Big 12 teams. So that's really, kind of a, looking at that 2-point defense is really a sneak peek into the future.
Well, Ken, as we wrap up, and we do this every time we talk to you because we love your website, we want to drive more eyes to it. It's kenpom.com. How is the health and status of the subscription and the website overall?
Yeah, it's going well. I mean, college basketball has always been good to me, and still get those mentions from great people like you. So that always helps drive some things. So definitely appreciate that.
You got it. Thanks for the time today. Always an intriguing look into the numbers, specifically behind this surprising BYU basketball team. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.